I'm gonna hope this is live, because it is. Hello everyone, welcome. It is the new companions of an ESO, or Elder Scrolls Online podcast, with me, your host, Jebro, and today I have Attorcitty, and I have Raja as well. We're going to be going over to them in a moment. I hope you guys in chat are well if you're listening to this online. It is indeed the 28th of April 2019, which is crazy to even imagine because we're very, very close to elsewhere as well. And we're just going to get straight into the show. The show is called Endgame and is on the same weekend as guess what movie? That's right. Endgame from Avengers. Just in case you didn't get the whole link thing there. It is on purpose, just ever so slightly. And we now have our guests on screen. Awesome. Hello. I'm going to introduce them very quickly as well. And they're going to tell us just a tiny bit about themselves, what they do, and also the fact that Raja came in like last second. And you are a legend, by the way. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. But first of all, we have T. T, how are you doing? You good? Uh-oh, I did something wrong. Give me 2 seconds to read, and then we're gonna pretend you spoke. I had you muted from before, but I just failed. It's okay. You're good though now. You're good. So T, hello. How are you doing?
Yes. Hi. This is the first time you've asked me hello.
The first time ever.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm
Yes.
good. What do you do on the internet? What do you do? Do you stream? Do you YouTube? Do you? What
Yes.
do you do?
I stream for a living. I stream ESO. So I do all the things in ESO.
Just all the things you do. You do literally do all the things. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
That's one of the prime reasons you're on this exact show as well. And we have Attorcitty. How you doing, dude?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm awesome. What do you do? What do you do? Do you stream? Do you YouTube? What do you do in the game?
I stream and I YouTube. I mainly focus on in-game trials, character builds, helping people clear in-game content.
Sounds awesome. Good stuff. Not a bad person to have on a podcast like this then, I guess, right? Good. And Raja as well. What do you get up to? Are you streaming? Are you YouTubing? What do you do in Elder Scrolls Online?
I stream mainly trials, dungeons, and just like achievement hunting.
Ah, achievement hunting as well. Awesome. Okay, so we've got a good mix of stuff. I mean, I've been playing for about a year, so I do as much as I can right now. And game is pretty much everything in the game for me. So it's like getting there as well, which is quite interesting and difficult and challenging at the same time. But we're going to jump straight into it. Chat, hello as well, and welcome. I hope you are very well. We've got 3 awesome guests here. If you do have any questions or something you want to pick up in the chat, we'll try and see if we can pick that up as well. But it's going to be quite a general chat about the end game, about what people do. Is there an end game? Just general question, is there an end game? Is there an end game for everyone? If you're in a group, if you're solo, and all these different things. We've got a little bit of a document that we're going to go through. I'm kind of going to go through in a little bit of an order. It's going to be a bit all over the shop today. It's okay. Because I think that's almost a description of what end game is. For some people, you can kind of dip in and out of different bits and bobs. Oh, wow. Someone is awake. Who's got the dog? Whose dog was that?
Is that my dog? That might have been my dog.
Dog. That's okay, dude. That's all good. Okay, so I was going to ask you guys individually. So, I mean, I guess you just said a little bit just then, but I'm going to start with you, T. What is your end game for you personally? Like, what just in a few sentences, like specific content that you focus around in the end game. It doesn't have to be just content, it could be community, for example. What do you think your end game is for yourself?
Well, I've got to say it because everyone's probably waiting for it, but the true end game is housing and fashion. But I guess for, the casuals, the vet content, it's a little bit more challenging. But
the vet content is a little bit challenging, but not as challenging as my wardrobe.
Have you ever tried to like decorate a house and then you like a day later you're out of money? Yeah, that's the true end game.
Is that you every day, or is that like?
Oh, I can't do housing very often because I'm broke. It's
Wow.
the problem.
What is going on with you? The people in your stream need to send you money. That's what we know. I don't mean literal money. We'll do that as well, obviously, but like that's what you should be doing. Like, come on, tea people. Tea people? I don't know.
Tea people. I actually do that like every maybe like 6 months. I'll do a housing project.
Okay.
Because I finally have enough or like motivation to make enough.
Right. Okay.
But yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so it's the aesthetic stuff, like the wardrobe and stuff. Well, MMOs, I mean, Endgame for a lot of MMOs is getting gear to look good. You know, like skins and stuff, and
Fashions for a second, yes.
yeah. And I guess some of the achievement stuff that Raja said that she did was that some of that stuff is skins, right? I mean, some of that stuff is skins, so it kind of relates in a way.
Oh yeah. The whole cosmetic stuff is a pretty big motivating factor, I think, for a lot of people, including myself. I joined I'm actually pretty new at doing like vet content. Before that, I did mostly role playing, so I didn't know what I was doing. And since I started streaming, they've been my chat's been helping me get good, as it were. And
Amazing.
I've done all sorts of ridiculous things that I thought I would never do.
That happens, doesn't it, with streaming? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you. Okay. Well, okay, that's good. We'll move on. So on that note, Raja, what's your end game then? And you mentioned achievements and stuff like that. So what do you mainly focus when you play Elder Scrolls Online?
So I have like 3 different sets of what I do. So I run an RP guild so that I get my RP housing, fashion, itch, scratched.
Okay.
Then
Amazing.
it's so much fun. You should try it if you haven't. RP's amazing.
Apparently I need to now. So now 2 out of 4 people here do it. So I just think too much like RP is. It's like, wow, okay. Cool. No, awesome. Go for it. Go.
Yeah. I have a 4-man group that we do like dungeon content and stuff, and we try to get the titles that are the speedrun hard mode no death for the newer dungeons, as well as like all of those really random achievements that are like kill this boss while doing these 7 different things and juggling tomatoes. Like we try to do those. And then I've recently gotten into like trying to kind of score push trials and stuff, and we just got our last Sunspire hard mode done, and stuff like that.
Wow.
So that's...
Okay, that's awesome. So that's a big mix as well. I mean, you know, T. I mean, I've watched T do many. I probably watched you, T, do more trials and dungeons than anything else, actually. To be honest, so you both do there's the RP stuff. So is it like hardcore RP and then hardcore trialing and achievements? Is like, you know, these extreme parts of the game. That's pretty cool.
You'd be surprised how popular roleplay is in ESO. It's a very good game to do.
Why is this not a massive fit? Like, I need to get into this.
It is a massive thing.
It is. I know. I just don't see
huge.
it. I
fully suggest Ebonheart Pact. It's got a great community.
Yes, EP, RP.
Yes.
Actually, I own Ebonheart Roleplay. If anyone wishes to join,
It's so good.
so I can send you an invite.
Okay. Well, if there's any links, I'll try and put them in the description. Okay, this is a future stream. This is happening. This is happening. Awesome. Okay, that's great. That's good to know. Make sure also if you do !TNC, and I will put these links as well in the podcast so you guys can check out all of these guys. Go and check out their channels and their content, and you'll be able to get to these places as well through them because you go and watch them and then you'll find out all the things. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that, Roger? So you said, you know, you do the trials. I mean, I think you kind of rounded it out. You do trials and you do the role playing. Actually, that's quite a lot of stuff. You know, there's actually a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Attorcitty, what do you get up? Go for it. Do you RP?
No.
Okay.
I never could bring myself down to RP because for me it's just I play games for competitivity. I'm not trying to throw shade, but I mean,
that was a mistake. I'm just leaving now.
Of course, you know, to each their own for everyone. You know, it's an MMO, and people are supposed to play this game however they want to.
That's right.
Exactly. But for me, it's more of the competitive side of Trials, because I was previously a console player, and on Xbox I rated with 12 deep for 2.5 years, and we always
that was your
stack,
was it? That was your full stack that was like your stack raid for 2 years, like full guy. Like 12 man.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and we would push for #1 scores, and we rated 7 nights a week. So
wow.
Whenever I hear Endgame,
you have a wife, don't
you?
Yeah.
This was before that.
She is an amazing woman. let's just thank her right now.
Yeah. But absolutely, whenever I hear Endgame, it's nothing but competitive trial pushing leaderboard scores and min-maxing characters and parsing and trying to figure out how I can maximize the damage that I can output on that character.
Okay. And that's pretty much what you focus on mainly.
Right.
Right, okay. Is it vet dungeons sprinkled in there or anything, or?
Oh, of course, yeah.
There's vet dungeons as well. Okay. Whew. Okay, so we have a wild mix of stuff. And I'm just gonna add my own stuff as well. I mean, my end game is doing all the things because other than actually trials massively, because I just haven't, I guess I've got to that, but I'm trying to get to a point with our guild where we can do that. So for me, as well as we're all streamers, I think there's, to a degree, there might be some kind of community building and guild management and stuff, which is in our end game. I mean, if you guys do the RP stuff as well, and you're doing with your stream and you're playing with people in your guild, then there is a lot of community kind of building and sustaining, right? Which is almost kind of a part of your stream, but also part of like Elder Scrolls Online. I think that do you guys think that's true of like an end game potentially, like guild management as something as well? I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Do you agree?
It does.
Like community stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's something that I'm focused on quite a lot. Not like, you know, hardcore in the guild chat, like doing all the things. It's more of like almost a stream thing, just interactivity with both. But I think, you know, that's very individual to, you know, streamers or content creators specifically, maybe, obviously, because that's what we do. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I did VMA recently, and that was, I felt like, you know, I finally was like end game. I was like, Jesus Christ, this thing is. It was an amazing experience. It was absolutely wonderful, and it's probably one of the best MMO experiences I've had. But funnily enough, it was solo, and it was damn. You know, I need to get this elsewhere, but you know, haha.
Elsewhere.
Yeah, jokes.
Yeah, it was. I know, right? I'm British, just in case you guys didn't know. No, it's just automatic now. But yeah, so Endgame is a lot of mixture for me of different things because I'm still trying to get to, you know, maximum champ points, and I'm still got some vet dungeons to do. You know, we just did our first guild trial the other day. It wasn't vet, but I'm definitely at that level of gear. Like I'm a healer, and I went to Cloud Rest and I've done the things and I've got the gear, but it's just getting into those parts. So I guess that kind of feeds into a lot of what we're going to talk about in the podcast as well. So do you think, as we're all different kind of people, we all enjoy different things. When people play an MMO or like Elder Scrolls Online, do you think, you know, the end game for some people is just hitting like that maximum? And anyone can jump into this kind of question or this discussion. It's only going to be quite short anyway. Do you think people just go for like 50 and they just stop? I mean, like in Elder Scrolls Online, is there anything you guys want to say about that? Do you think, people, the end game is just for people to just hit 50 and boom, they're done? Is that a thing?
That's like the beginning of the game, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually what I've told people is like, they're like, all right, I hit 50, now what? I'm like, all right, well, now you learn how to play the game. So before that, it's most of the time, unless you have friends who brought you into the game, you're probably just doing questing or normal dungeons, things like that. Then you get to learn how to block heavy attacks instead of just getting knocked, getting back up, because those heavy attacks will kill you.
This is true. Attorcitty or Raja, do you want to add anything? I mean, it might sound like an obvious question to us, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think the game, it opens up when you hit 50. Like, you can't even do pledges until, like, 45. Mm-hmm. Like, there's so much to do once you hit 50 and once you hit veteran ranks. Ha! I've been playing this game too long. Once you hit CP and stuff like that, like, there's so much to do.
That's right. I mean, I don't know if you want to add anything, Attorcitty, to that at all.
I mean, to piggyback off of what both T and Rajas said, I mean, you're not even getting into the full aspect of Elder Scrolls Online once you hit 50, because you have to think, now you have champion points. Now you have pledges at 45. Now you have the raids, normal or veteran trials that you can do to get gear to become even more powerful. And even in a non-DPS aspect, you still have, you cannot do all of the quests in this game from level 1 to 50. Bottom line, that is literally impossible. So people miss out if they think that hitting 50 is the end.
Mm-hmm. There are so many quests. It's kind of daunting, actually. I'm not gonna lie. It is. It's like every time
it's easy to get overwhelmed.
I think so. I don't know. I don't think it's a problem, but I think it's a thing where, I actually have so much to do. I'm not sure where to go. I'm just like, and this kind of goes into my next question, really. I mean, obviously, if you're an experienced MMO player, you probably, and you want to focus on trials or dungeons, and you're really that focused, and you want to do that. Like, you can do that. It's quite easy to do that. You get to 50, you grind to 160 CP. You get your gear from dungeons or crafting or whatever, and then you're pretty much there. You've just got to find a group. Although that's actually quite a lot of stuff to do. But you've got some kind of focus. It's still difficult. But as a solo player, maybe, and if you're new, do you think it's easy to really understand what the end game encompasses? I think that's a fairly open question, but it feels to me that if you're not in a guild or you're not watching a stream and everything else, it could be that you're not really sure what to kind of do or where to go. Or do you think that quests maybe even just you kind of get pushed in that direction, or as an MMO player, you automatically get involved with these things? I mean, I don't know. Do you think it's easy as a solo player maybe, or a new player, to get into, maybe going to back to 2 weeks ago when we talked about a new player experience? But yeah, no, that's 4 weeks ago, Jesus. But what do you guys think about that? Is it easy for a newer player, or maybe a fresh 50, to understand where to go and what to do, kind of end game?
So I would say that this coming from the experience of someone whose first MMO was Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's great then. That works.
Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing when I first started this game. I didn't have a clue. I mean, I played this game like it was Skyrim. My first character was a Nord Magicka Dragon Knight.
I just made one. I literally hit 50. Sorry, I'm hyped about this guy. He's so good. You're going to tell me it's really bad, aren't you? You're going to be like, I'm so inexperienced.
Well, I mean,
it's
back
awful.
whenever this game first launched, obviously, the races, the racial passives, everything has changed from then to now.
Yeah.
But definitely, like I strike hard on the fact that if you are a new player, it is better for you to explore YouTube and explore Twitch and figure out what exactly you're playing before you pick it up. Because if you don't, you are going to miss out on a lot, and you're basically wasting your money by not exploring all possibilities that come with this game.
Okay. Fair. Roger or T, where do you feel?
I think if you were looking for like solo content and you're looking for like that Skyrim type experience, I think the game does a really, really good job like leading you. It gives you from quest to quest to quest. It shows you the different zones. I never got introduced. I'm not saying I haven't done Rothgar, but oops.
I haven't.
But like even like there's even Maelstrom there and stuff. Like it's so good. I think the disconnect is between that and like if you want to do trials, because there's like a dungeon finder that occasionally works for like grouping up and like going out and doing dungeons and stuff. But there's nothing to really start you on the path to trials other than like Craglorn pugs.
Yeah,
that's why I'm so excited that we're going to get the guild finder. Because I think that's going to be that great tool that's going to fill that gap so people can find those entry-level PvE or PvE, X guilds and get in there, get with the team and start running this in-game content instead of being like, oh, I need 11 other people to do Hell Raw. Where do I find them?
That's a very good point. Exactly. Good stuff. So that's with Elsewhere, right? We get the guild finder and everything else. So that's good. It means you can get into you can, like I said before, and we were talking about very briefly, exactly what you're saying. Those players will now be able to get into a place where they can at least be introduced to this content. Like Ninja614 said on chat, who's been on the podcast before as well, he knows 8-10 CP guys who don't even know how to get into trials. So it's not even the fresh 50 or the new player, because 8-10 is a lot of experience in the game. Essentially, you've still got to be playing for a long time. It's a lot of XP. If depending on different times of the year, that's quite a slog. So there is that situation as well. I think what Attorcitty was saying as well was more of, I don't think he's saying if you need to make sure that you're researching the games before you playing it. I think he's saying that what he's trying to say is that when you buy the game, there's so much to experience that it's worth definitely dipping into some kind of research on YouTube or Twitch or guides and stuff, so that you can maybe open up that experience if you're not experienced as an MMO player, which is where he is coming from. He's coming from a certain specific standpoint where he's a brand new player to an MMO. So it's like you almost MMOs are the MMORPGs, sorry, because MMOs, you could cross that over to anything nowadays. Even Fortnite as an example. Are their own beast. There is community, there is dungeons, there is questing, there is events, and then MMOs have their own things which make them that their own specific game. So it's very important. So sometimes it is good to get some knowledge, some insight into what this game is. What is this MMO? What can I do? So I think it is good definitely when you're in there, but it is also nice to start a game and just not know what to do sometimes. But again, we're all different. We all have different ways of doing things. That's for sure. So it's a good view to have, especially as a new player to Elder Scrolls Online, and new to MMOs as well. Wow, Jesus! I mean, what an MMO to start as your first one. Bloody hell.
ESO was my first MMO too. I played a Korean MMO before that, but it was like small and
pay to win, probably.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So T, there you go. I mean, a question to you as well. What was the question? Can't remember now. Do you know? I'm pretty sure it was something about MMOs. I'm actually a bit lost now. What was it? What were we talking about? We were talking about
level 50 being the real end game. I think is what it was.
That's the one.
Yeah, I gotta say I don't agree with Chastity as far as like wasting money as far as not doing certain content, because there's like so much content in the game to do. So I didn't do trials. I honestly barely knew trials existed for a very long time. I think I was playing for maybe 2 years before I did my first trial.
Mhm.
I just knew people were getting shiny dies from somewhere, and I was like, dang, I wish
Oh,
I knew how to like
no.
play the game so I can get a shiny die so I
Yeah.
look nice. And like you have questing, you have PvP. I went to PvP sooner than I did dungeons and trials and things like that. I love I don't know if anyone remembers Blackwater Blade represent. They were the under 50 PvP campaign. It was amazing.
Oh, okay.
It was a lot of fun, but like they slaughtered like all the stats. Like your gear basically didn't matter. Your enchants barely mattered. It was just like raw. You had to learn how to deal with siege. It was great. I loved it. And then I went into a dungeon and I had my little restoration staff and I was like trying to heal myself. And they're like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I gotta keep myself alive."
Amazing.
And they're like, no, you're DPS. You do one thing, and then the healer heals you. I was like, well, it won't hurt if I just, have a shield or,
Yeah.
everything that a healer would have. So it's like, they're just, to me, like, ESO is kind of in this journey of like learning what I can kind of unlock to do in the game. So, like I said, I started as a role player. I stayed at level 16 until like July of the first year. I didn't get to VR ranks until November of that year. And then I barely leveled up my VR ranks because it was a nightmare. And then we just so happened to have somebody join the RP guild that I was an officer in. It was a trial guy. He was like, "Hey, you guys want to come on and do AA?" And I was like, "What's that?" They're like, "It's a trial," and I was like, "Okay." And they took, I think, three or four role players in, and it was a training, quote unquote, run, and we did it.
Did you role play
I wasn't
as
even
you did it?
VR 11. I think it was like VR 6 or 7. I got my butt carried, but
Okay.
it was amazing. So to me, I don't know. Endgame is I don't really like that word as far as describing ESO.
Yeah.
Because they don't want people to get locked into like, oh, Endgame is trials, Endgame is PvP or dueling or something like that. To me, it's like the game stays interesting by exploring the different things, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah. For you specifically as well. Don't know if you can see that.
Okay.
The
Sorry,
brand
it's distracted
new
by all the
husky.
cute animals in the background.
So for everyone on the podcast, if you're listening audibly, there is a husky on screen. So if I scream like a
And
small
a kitty
child
cat.
and a cat, then all the things. I mean, then if I start screaming, then I'm sorry. Also not sorry.
Oh.
Okay, so
No, wait. We need to have a moment that T also got into trials because of her RP guild, because that's how I got into my first trial.
Oh wow.
RP opens doors, guys. Yes, we had one of our
That's
officers who like would just disappear, and we're like, "What do you keep doing? You're leaving our events in like the middle of the event. What's your problem?" And it's like, "I got raped."
Ah. Did he
Oh my
RP was he in RP when he said he was going to raid? Did he be like, I need to go out and, get an arrow to the knee or something? Or,
Yeah, he would always have to like go because his wife needed him or other like sundry excuses, and so he would see himself out. And so we just like in voice one day we're like, "Where do you keep going?
I like
what
how
are you
it's a
doing?
dark
Are you cheating on us with an RP?" It was funny because he was embarrassed. He thought we wouldn't take him as seriously as an RPer because he was doing other aspects of the game. And we're like, we want to come. Can we come? And he was like,
That's interesting, isn't it? So there is that. There is that between maybe. I mean, I think there is.
Jimmy just said the same thing.
That's interesting. I got
awesome.
introduced to trial through a member of my old RP guild. Wow. The inn is RP. The inn is roleplay. The only roleplay I've ever done is in GTA 5, and I was a character called Mr. Spy, which was probably like quite obvious at the time.
I want to see that.
It's interesting. I mean, I like it. It was very interesting. I had a lot of fun though. It was hilarious. I was a spy that told everyone I was a spy, and I was trying to kill people at times, and also trying to get Ubers. But that was the biggest part of it. Anyway, you can't do that in Elder Scrolls Online. But yeah, RP is actually quite fun, just because it's just like imagination and just it's kind of it's quite playful and just enjoyable. So that's interesting that it actually opened up and quite a lot. Oh yeah, that's true. Sea of Thieves are RP as well. Yeah, I've kind of done that. Actually, every single time I've played it, I've been a pirate. So
that's
okay,
awesome.
That's fine. All right, I understand. Okay, so apparently I like RP now. And I didn't really know.
Surprise!
Now you know.
It sneaks up on you.
I think it's just fun, That's interesting. I would love to see more RP streams actually. And more content. Maybe I'm just missing this stuff.
It's hard because some people are uncomfortable with having, it being recorded, or they'll act up. That's another thing if they know people are watching. So.
Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing it. At least that's actually really appreciated because that's awesome. Okay. So we've all got definite different ideas of what our end game is, or even the phrase end game, because I kind of agree in a way, because to me, and I watched actually a video last night. It was Sherman Gaming, something like that. I've actually put it in the document, but he was talking about end game, and he was talking about the meta, and he was talking about, essentially the overall message that I got from the video was that, you can kind of play the game in so many different ways. There is obviously the meta is very important. I come from a very esports kind of background as well. So, meta is a thing. It's the way to be the most efficient to a degree, but it doesn't mean that everyone has to do that to enjoy the game in the way they want to enjoy it. So there's a very big mixture. You can be competitive, and that's your end game, or that's what you enjoy in the game. End game, whether or not you want to use that phrase, and then there's the RP stuff, which is very creative, and it's the same with housing, it's the same with wardrobe, and also you can be creative in a competitive way to be creating the meta, for example, as well. There's very creative aspects of everything that I think people actually get up to in the end as well. Especially in their own guilds when they create comps that are very interesting. And then you've got healers with shields, it's like someone who's speaking earlier. T, I love you. Think you're great. That was epic. Thank you for sharing your story as well. That is the good stuff. But yeah, just generally we're like talking about some of the I can't the squats. There is a squats command in my stream. Yes, this comes up every so often. It's because I've got bad knees. It's not because I'm trying to get stuffs for doing squats or anything. It's because I've got bad knees and just sort out my posture. So I'm gonna stop being embarrassed about that. But
are you gonna do them though?
No. I'll save them up till later. And also the audio people who listen to the sound wise are just gonna miss out. They're just gonna hear me going, oh, ow, my knees, and just random cracks of my knees. So yeah, let's continue. So dungeons, we're gonna go a little bit quicker as well. Endgame dungeons. So we've got vet dungeons, we've got normal dungeons as well. I mean, people do dungeons the most. I mean, dungeons are the most accessible, right? Do you guys partake in dungeons quite a lot as you play, just generally? Because I would say that we're all kind of. I'm going to keep using this end game, in quotations, phrase. Do you guys dungeon a lot? Do you think there's anything they could do with dungeons to help the kind of to keep people there more, or do you think it's enough, or do you think it's fine, just don't touch it, It's a very general question. How do you feel about dungeons?
This is a dangerous soapbox.
No, go. No, absolutely
I
go.
love 4-man content. I love dungeons.
Yeah.
But I think part of the issue is like you go to your dungeon finder, you do your normal dungeons, right? And it's a breeze. Like it doesn't matter what you're doing. You can do these dungeons on normal. Most of the one-shot mechanics aren't one-shots. Everything has little health. You know, you don't even really need healing. Your passive health regen's probably enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to vet, and especially with the DLC dungeons, they just will whoop you. And I think that
yes,
it immediately just puts a wall up for a lot of people, and it's so frustrating to me because I think it's insanely good content that like you can mess around with your team comps. A lot of people do a tank in 3 DPS. Nah, tanks are dead. It's 2019. Do a healer in 3 DPS. But like there's just so much good fun there. I wish there was a like more accessible way to like get people into those dungeons and get them into veteran and give them the right tools so that they can succeed. Because like that's where it'll really get its claws into you, because you start seeing that at 4-man content and you're like, let's do it bigger. Let's do more people, right? Like let's go see what Sanctum's like, let's go see what Maw is like and stuff like that.
So what you're saying is, to be clear, is you think there is too big a gap between normal and veteran for DLC, or do you think that the normal in DLC is too difficult? Is that what you're saying?
I think it's like the gap between normal and like veteran is just a really big gap, and I think it happens in Maelstrom. It happens with the trials as well.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of gatekeeps people a little bit, which is sad. But you also have like, I forget who I was talking to about it. Like the dungeons, you would think like you do fungal 1, and then right after that is like vet fungal. But they're all a little weird. Or like you would go to fungal 1 and then fungal 2. But those used to be back in the day when we had vet ranks. They weren't right in order. You went through all of the 1 dungeons, and then you got to vet ranks and you went through all of the 2 dungeons. So there's already like a skill disconnect there if you go from like fungal 1 to fungal 2.
Was that a one Tamriel thing, do you think? Was this pre-one Tamriel?
2000. I have no idea.
2004.
It was a long time ago.
I just remember for a while it was.
They changed it.
Yeah.
It was hilarious being like, hey, let's do like for fungal. We're like, let's do vet. Which one? And like, there's this huge time where we were trying to get the right nomenclature down for.
No, I didn't figure it out till like a couple months ago. I was like, okay, somebody sit me down and explain what used to be like vet fungal grotto, because I don't know what's going on anymore.
Wait, what used to? Jesus, okay, so there was loads of stuff going on.
It would just be like,
right,
like you'd have fungal grotto and then you'd have vet fungal grotto. That's now fungal grotto 2.
Right.
And there used to be no normal version. It was just the vet version.
Oh, and then they just made a vet
version of the first one.
Normal.
It was just normal.
Yep.
Right.
And there was no normal DSA, so I have like 5 characters that don't have the normal DSA achievement. I have to go back and do it on normal now.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Right. Interesting. Yeah, so that must be, and like Attorcitty said as well, yeah, it must be like something to do with one Tamriel. It's like, you know, when they change the game to be something where you can go pretty much wherever you want as a new player and essentially, you know, explore an adventure in your own way, which I think is fantastic, by the way. That kind of does something to dungeons, doesn't it? Because, you know, in any MMO, you level up and you do a dungeon, and that dungeon is set at a difficulty for that level and for that power level as well. So if it's a normal dungeon, technically, you know, what was Fungal Grotto the first dungeon?
I think it was Fungal, Banished, and something over there in the town, in the zone that actually has city.
Just over there, down the road.
Yeah. The one with cities.
One of those, you know. Yeah, so that would have been, and dungeons are available at level 10. So if we think about that, think about it in that respect, then that would be a level 10 power dungeon, which is very low health, low power. And then you have to rescale them to this one Tamriel thing. So I can imagine there's a lot that kind of got messed up or kind of isn't really maybe the way they would like it to be, maybe, I guess, in terms of those dungeons. So the earlier dungeons are just going to be really easy, and I get that because those power levels are lower, but you're still scaled up or down depending on the content, but it's very, numbers. I mean, what can you say about that? So I think that's where maybe there's going to be some difficulty and it's some issues. So the vet is then the true kind of level 50 experience, but almost the normal level 50. Does that make any sense? I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone, because it's very difficult because they changed. And if you're listening to this and you're not sure what I'm talking about, Elder Scrolls Online changed the way the game is essentially worked. It wasn't like you level up and you go through zones, and as you level up, the mobs are like level 20, next zone level 30, next level 40. You can just go wherever you want. You scale to the content in that area, in that map, or it scales to you, however it works. So inevitably, it must have screwed something up as you're trying to do dungeons. So I agree with you. You can go in and you can smash the hell out of stuff. Like, we were with a level 30 tank in our guild the other day. Omega Fabulous. Excellent name. Excellent dude. And he's level 30, his new tank. And there's me, I think there was T and Crumpet, and there was like Reader and maybe someone else. I think it was Anna. And we just went in there and, it was 3 DPS and a tank. We didn't need a healer. And because he wanted to learn how to tank, and it's like, we can't really help him learn how to tank because this guy, he literally gets there and then dead. So yeah, so I see your point about that.
I think that disconnect though is really where stuff like what Attorcitty was talking about shines. Like, once you get to the harder content. So for this example, we'll call it the vet DLCs, right? Because they just had to go through and do like a balance pass on them because we weren't able to complete them. Like, when you get in there and when you get your face just slammed against the wall, like, going to those guides, going to those streamers, those YouTube videos, that can make or break it, because this game is really, really, really good at being accessible, and like, anybody can play this game and can do some of the stuff that we do, and like, you just have to find that information out there.
So true. Anyone else want to say anything about dungeons? So that's a really good point, Raja, though.
I think she covered it all for me, anyways.
I have a little anecdotal story.
Yeah, go for it. Bring it.
When I went
the
to
anecdote.
Cinemax, I've never considered myself like somebody who like does dungeons regularly. Like, it's kind of new thing for me.
Yeah.
Because I did all the dungeons back in like 2015. And then they like retooled them, and nobody believed me, but I started getting like the achievements when we were going through all the vet dungeons again, because they like were different than they used to be. So they were like, what? You have never done like? I'm like, yeah, I did. Look, and I would go back to my achievements, and I'd be like, look, 2015. But then the new stuff started popping up, and I was like, yep, here it is.
Right.
So. When I went to ZeniMax, I kind of mentioned, like, I can't remember what we were talking about, but I said, like, like, people like me, it's not really for people like me. And, like, Finn just turned around. He's like, no, dungeons are for everybody. and I was like, oh. So I've been trying to keep that in mind instead of, like, trying to play myself off as someone who's not that good at dungeons. But, it just depends on what step you are in learning how to do dungeons.
But that feeds into what Raja was saying as well about, if there's a new DLC that comes out, I mean, like, DLCs and expansions typically are aimed at the player. DLC dungeon, whatever we're calling them. Like, you always think of those things as end game content, as a level 50, right? As a higher end level thing. But you can do these dungeons. I think, do you have to be level 50 to do DLC on dungeons, or is it 45?
You can do any dungeons at any level. You just have to go into them instead of using the dungeon finder.
But with a dungeon finder, like, can you go into Depths of Malatar? Like,
it's probably a 160 lock one.
Yeah.
So for
It
if
could
you
be.
queue for the veteran dungeons, for any of the
Yeah,
DLC veteran dungeons, you are at a CP 300 lock. If you are below 300 CP, you can't go in there. And that's
Which
only
is
for the
better.
DLC ones.
That's interesting. Okay, I
It
didn't
used to
actually
be
know that.
really scary when you'd get dropped into a DLC vet dungeon and then like get somebody who is a lower CP, and it's not their fault. They were just queuing, and you're like, oh no, this is not gonna end well.
I did launch day Depths of Malatar, or was it Frostfall? I think it's Frostfall launch DLC, Pug Vet, 6 hours on stream. I was healing. It wasn't my fault.
I did on the PTS. We did Frostvault with a very well organized group.
Yeah.
It was insane. We did hard mode on Frostvault. It was absurd.
I actually really.
But I did it for like 2 weeks, like
Right.
each PTS drop. I did it, and it was fun. We were just all patient, but it was fun.
Yeah, like Zale said, Blonzan, hello as well. He's been again another person that's been on the podcast. Like you say, you know, higher CP doesn't necessarily mean skillful. That's for sure.
Oh, it doesn't mean anything.
Absolutely. You know, like Ninja614 said earlier, you know, he knows an 810 guy who's never been into a trial. I mean, he could be really skillful, but, you know, you don't know because he's not done the content. So you can be mechanically good at the game, you know, when you start playing. But you know, you still need to get to that kind of level. So that's interesting. That's another thing as well. It's almost getting farming and being able to get that gear, and that's actually very true for PvP as well. You could be very skillful, and I've got a big soapbox about PvP in terms of gear and farming for that because I'm a big PvPer, and actually we'll get to that in a bit. Is there anything you guys want to say about dungeons? I mean, the one thing that I thought that would be good, and I don't know if it exists, I'm pretty sure it doesn't, as far as my research came along, but leaderboards for dungeons, is that not a thing?
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's coming in elsewhere, sort of.
It's coming in elsewhere, sort of. Do you want to talk about that more?
The encounter logs are going to have like dungeon leaderboards, and I'm just so excited.
There we go. So the dungeon logs that they talked about recently on the ZeniMax Online Studio, the podcast, not podcast, the stream show, right? Can you describe a little bit more about that? What the logs are, what this is specifically for people who might not know?
Ooh, we're gonna open up that hornet's nest.
It's not. It doesn't have to be long-winded. It's okay. Very general.
So what it does is it literally logs in your group. So say we're running through Black Rose Prison.
Yeah.
It'll take the 4 of us. It'll log every skill we cast, every bit of damage we take, where we move our characters, if we wipe, you know, everything that killed us, all of the healing done. You get nice little graphs, stuff like that. It logs everything, and then you can upload it, and you get this insanely awesome site that just gives you all of this data in ways that you can read and that you can actually start to change. Like one of the things that it does that you don't get in game is it actually tells you how much overhealing you're doing, and you can see specific parts in the fight where like you freaked out, but you definitely didn't need to. You did not need the 30 healing springs you laid down. And so that's really cool. But one thing that it's going to give us is, as well, if you put your logs public, it'll give us leaderboards. So you can actually compare and see like, oh, our Arena 4 in Black Rose is way slower than everybody else's. What are we doing? And you can start to change that and get better and push yourself.
I actually really like that. I like it, but I'm also scared of it. I mean, is there? Because I can definitely see both sides of that argument. Because I've been on the hardcore raiding side in games like WoW and Rift, and I want to say Guild Wars 2, but I don't know how hardcore is. But you know, compared with those DPS kind of meter comparisons between people, I think, you know, if you're in that zone where you want to be competitive and you want to be doing things, you're already in that group. So I feel like you're putting yourself already out there to have your DPS and your healing kind of looked at, right? So I think that's kind of up to you whether or not you want people to know. I I know that there's been some worry about that as well, but it does mean, you know, that it adds something, like you say, leaderboards. I mean, it adds a whole new place of content, and the, you know, place that you can compete in, which, you know, like Attorcitty said, I mean, that must be good, right, for you, knowing that potentially there's a leaderboard for another piece of content. Do you think you're going to do even more dungeons now, maybe, with that leaderboard kind of stuff, with the idea of a leaderboard? Sorry.
So for me, whenever it comes to dungeons, the only time I ever do dungeons is to level my Undaunted.
Right.
If I need a monster helm.
Yeah.
Or a shoulder, because of course you have to do the Undaunted pledges for the Undaunted keys to actually get the shoulders.
For the RNG drops, yeah.
Right. And for transmute crystals. Now, if there was some leaderboard that came out later on down the road that was tied to a piece of gear that helped me perform as a better player or gave me more damage, I would probably do more dungeons. But since there isn't one at this time, probably not. I mean, if for example, if J-Dub asked me if I want to do pledges with him, of course, yeah. What do you want me on? But a lot of the time, I don't focus on dungeons.
So it is. So a part of your end game is also rewards, though, like in game as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Which is very true. You know, for many MMO players, we want something to show for it, as well as just enjoying ourselves, like some kind of reward, something that we've kind of earned, which is definitely fair enough. You know, I'm kind of half and half on that. I really want the thing, but also I want the, like for VMA, like specifically for me, and I don't know if anyone else has seen this clip, everyone on my stream has, but I lost my shit on that stream. I was just like, you know, it's probably easy for all you guys now, but for someone who's never had to do a solo arena in that difficulty, knowing mechanics and not having to know, like, and learning how to block and completely change up your play style, it was just the best. It was so good to just getting through that and that feeling, and I will never forget it. And you know, it makes me want to do Black Rose Prison and other stuff as well. And even just doing VMA again, and just I don't give a crap. Like, the gear is cool. Like, there is a stuff I think in there that I need, but I don't care if I get a sock at the moment. You know, I just want to get it done faster.
I get what you're saying. I feel the same way.
Yeah, you've done it as well, T.
Yeah, I've been doing it like every Friday except the past 2 Fridays because a lot of event stuff. But yeah,
you sound like this is an experience at the moment. Are you okay?
Well, I was trying to farm for my staff.
Okay.
But I've just been trying to get better at it, like not die as much. I feel like it's helped the rest of my gameplay a lot. I
mean, I died a lot. It was as long as I was getting better or I was realizing something. I think, you know, that was almost an achievement.
The more you do
itself.
it, the better you'll get at it, for sure.
Yeah, we had some good people supporting in the back. There's Cyclone in the chat who's one of those people who's just like, yeah. And I just was like, no guide. I don't want any guide. I don't want any assistance. You know, gear and stuff is okay, but I think this is something where mechanically you need to be able to do this as well. So yeah, I think I really loved it. And it's something we can talk about as well as we go on. So I liked, Roger, what you said there about the leaderboards and bringing in the what was it called? Sorry, the passer, the numbers thing. The
encounter log?
Encounter log, that's right. That's what it's called. I think that's great because that actually, you know, that gives people the opportunity to do that. And is it right in saying, because I haven't done much research on that you have to opt in for this thing for people to see your damage and your healing? Or is it something where people can see it anyway?
So, yeah, right now it's set to opt you in, so your character name will show up. All that is a little toggle in your settings that you can turn to make it anonymous, and then you'll just show up as anonymous. And the more people that are anonymous, it'll just correlate all y'all's data together, so it'll be harder to tell who you are.
Okay.
But on top of that, somebody has to remember to encounter log, which is harder than you think. And then you then have to take the encounter log and upload it to the site.
Right.
And then you get the choice to make it public or private or stuff like that.
Okay.
So I think a lot of the fear about, well, I'm just in this pug, I don't want people to see, isn't going to materialize a lot.
Okay. Well, that's good. Okay. Cool. So I don't mind that too much then. It is a little tiny worry just because I know where it's gone before, but I know many games where you have DPS meters and it's just a normal thing. So it's like, I think it's one of those things people would kind of just get used to after a while. All right, let's head into the trials then quickly, because I know this is where Attorcitty kind of, he knows the most out of what he does. That's kind of where he is as well. But so how long have you been playing? Like, I mean, all of you as well. Like, how many times? I mean, all of you play trials, right? Actually, I've watched all of you, I think, at some point in time play trials. Yes, I do lurk in your streams. I like to know who I will potentially want to talk to in future. Attorcitty, trials, good. You enjoy them. You grind them out. Like that's pretty much what you do, right? Is there anything that you feel? I mean, this is its own conversation, really, as well. But you're happy doing that. That's what you do, right?
Well, I love trials. I mean, there's nothing better that suits me than to go into a trial and to figure out how far I can max out my DPS or challenge myself to see how many times I can't die. I mean, back on Xbox, we would push for Veteran Sanctum Ophidia, and Xbox, of course, doesn't have the privileges that PC does. So we would deal with the lag, and we wouldn't have add-ons, and we wouldn't have the only way that we were able to track how much we were parsing is we would literally do a blood spawn test, and we would have to do the math of how long it took to do the blood spawn test and divide that by I can't even remember what it was, but there was some sort of formula that we used.
What's the blood spawn test for people that don't know?
So the blood spawn test would be going into at the time you would go into Spindle Clutch 2 because obviously it was vet. You didn't have your vet normal,
right.
And I think it was 1.5 million health, just like basically a test dummy. But you have a tank, and the tank would puncture blood spawn, which is the second boss in the dungeon. And you would sit there and just damage it to 10%, walk away, reset it, and do it again.
And that was your DPS dummy?
Yeah. Before Homestead, before we got the test dummies, that's how we tested our damage. So,
what a great story! I love that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
But Trials is definitely it's my calling in MMOs, raids, trials, however you want to call it. I mean, whether you're talking about Destiny or Elder Scrolls Online, just being able to figure out and challenge myself to see how well I can perform in that setting is what's so rewarding for me.
Okay. And you're happy with how they are? Like, you think, a new player to the game could get into... I mean, one of the questions I wanted to ask all of you, actually, is do you think that a trial LFG is a good idea? I want to see looks on your faces.
No.
I can't see T's face, but I'm imagining something.
Just look at the picture that's there. That's
that face is just like
representation of.
Is that a no, T? Can you express your emotions in words?
I just think it'd be a really poor way of introducing someone to trials.
Yeah,
because it's such a like cooperative thing that you have to do. It also it's what makes trials really fun, but it also makes it a little bit hard to get into. I love trials. It's probably one of my favorite things to do in the game, but it's usually tied to being in guilds, and I don't even have my own stream guild, for example, because my guild slots are all full.
Oh wow.
So I know I'm probably not the only person who has a bunch of full guild slots. If you're, let's say you do like a lot of trading, and you're in several trade guilds,
Right.
then you have to choose between what your last 2 guild slots would be. I'm in 3 RP guilds, I'm in a trading guild, and I'm in a beginner's trial guild. And so, like, I don't have a PvP guild, I don't have a social guild. It kind of, not just a trial issue, but kind of in general with the game, you have to kind of pick and choose what you're gonna dedicate those slots to.
Right, okay. That's an interesting thing to think about. So we've got to get that. That'll be something, again, we talk about in a moment. I mean, Raja, do you want to say anything else about the trials and stuff? I mean, Attorcitty seems kind of happy with what's going on, I guess. Is there anything even if you want to jump back in Attorcitty and say anything maybe you feel that could help maybe players get in? Because I think all 3 of you have you've given me that look or those words that say, it's not great. It's not a good idea. WoW does it. They have raid LFG. And not many other games do have it, in all honesty, but how do you get into a trial if you're not in a guild? I mean, I know.
That's a question I've been trying to answer for years, because like for roleplay reasons, my carrot has always been the Mauve Lurkage skin.
Mm-hmm.
And as a role player, it was completely out of my reach. Unless, you want to be one of those people who are like, hey, friend, you want me to take me with your group that, clears it almost every time? I didn't want to do that. I had some people offer. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to earn it. And so, unless you want to get your butt carried, it is a little bit hard unless you have a regular group to get into trials.
I know I have to go to Craglon, right? And map chat. Is it Craglon? One of the maps. There's one map where they gather people. And I remember the first trial I did get. I just said I was a healer and I just healed. It was just like, I'll heal. It's just normal. So obviously it wasn't that difficult. But it's like getting to the next level, right? And that's
it's the vet trials that are. Like, people really want to make sure you know what you're doing. And if you're not, like, I've literally just did my first vet trial last year with Skull. That's the guild I'm in right now, and I didn't know what I was doing, and that kind of scared me off from doing vet trials even further. And then somebody just asked if I want to go to do Hell Raw, and I did it, and I was like, oh, that's not as bad. Like, we're not doing hard mode stuff, but it was like, I could get through it without feeling like everyone was just carrying me. And now we've been actually doing vet trials with the tea leaves. Just people in my community have been, we did Sanctum last week, and we just did a bunch of normals this week for the boxes, but it's been really interesting. I had some people say that they've gotten further in our group than they have in quote unquote endgame trial groups. So
there you go. Because they're invested, right?
Proud.
They're invested in your community as well. So they're invested.
It was pretty cool.
That is,
but not
awesome.
Everybody has that. That's what I mean. It's rough.
Yeah, that is something where I think it kind of has to sit there.
Yeah, flame is awesome.
Yeah, it's difficult to. You bring in an LFG. It's like you give people the option to get involved, but then the experience they have, the high chances of that experience not being the greatest in the world is probably going to be quite high. But
yeah, that's why I'm hedging my bets on the Guild Finder tool. I'm hoping, really, fingers crossed, that'll be the way to find those entry level guilds.
I hope so. I hope so for many people. Maybe even, maybe even myself. I kind of want to do these journeys and these things and kind of experience those ways without, and kind of even during streams, just kind of ninja go into communities and try and get involved in these different things. Like, obviously it might be good to inform these people. But, and leaderboards as well. You're hardcore into leaderboards, you said, Attorcitty, right?
Yes.
And
used to be. Retired.
You're tired? Why? What was the tiring thing?
No, I'm retired from pushing leaderboard scores.
Oh, you're retired?
Yeah.
Oh, retired Attorcitty.
Oh yes.
Is there a reason for that?
We no particular reason. I still have yet to find a proper raiding guild on PC. I've only been over here for, it's not even been a full year yet. Next month will make a year that I've been on PC. But over on Xbox, before I didn't have a job, before I wasn't married, that's when I got to raid 7 days a week. So all of that was possible. Now, not so much. There's no way. And plus, now we have 2 dogs. There's no way that I can push for a score. My hands are tied with constantly being busy. But back in the day,
that adult life, hey.
Yeah. Back in the day, we would get a text message. We on Xbox, we would use Kick Messenger to speak to everybody. We would have group chats for our trials groups. And if I think the guild at the time that would push against us was called Major Slayer, and they would take a score. We would get a text message, "Hey, get on." They just took our score. An hour later, we would have the score back.
Oh, really?
So,
wow,
yeah.
That's awesome, actually. I mean, that's very cool.
So it made it fun. It made it competitive. It made it enjoyable, and it made you definitely. That's where the big try hard trifecta comes into play. Is that if you die, you're the ones to blame for why you're getting out of the trial and going right back into it. So.
Oh, because you have to start again.
Yeah.
Oh, good lord. Wow. Okay, that would have to be a new level for me.
Yeah, it's crazy. We joke that my streams are most of the time just sitting in the lobby because we're having to reset.
Wow.
And it happens that way a lot.
I mean, this is just completely. This is why I like doing this and talking to different people, because there is that experience of. That's your end game, but that's also your choice, right? And that's what you enjoy, because ultimately the success, like getting that leaderboard spot back or wiping through that raid and getting the achievement or whatever you're seeking is the prime goal of what you're trying to do, and that enjoyment is what you're seeking. But the journey towards it might be a struggle, but it's worth it for that end result. Nice. Wow, okay. I really need to watch that from start to beginning, because that's interesting to me. Okay. Awesome. Also, guild in chat. Our guild, by the way, Uni. Next week, you good? Friday? Let's do it. Let's go. Good old rest. We're getting better in one run. No one dies. I'll probably die first. Let's be honest. And I'm the healer, so bring it on. It's gonna be fine. That's actually really awesome. Good to know. I'm sure many people enjoyed hearing that as well. I'm gonna dip into this the PvP very quickly, because I'm not sure how much you guys PvP. I PvP and MMOs is the main thing I did for a long time. Actually, Elder Scrolls Online changed that a lot. I really love the dungeons. I've always loved dungeons and raids. I used to be a hardcore raider back in the day as well, but PvP was a big thing, and I used to commentate in esports, But I wonder what you guys think about PvP and a possible end game for that. Do any of you guys PvP much at all, or?
So I'm gonna speak for both myself and Raja on that one. I think we're PvP'd out for like the next year. We just did like a crap ton like 2 weeks ago. So I love PvP, but we literally went from having a very good morning of PvP action to down at the bottom of the barrel. Like it was horrible. Horrible
Do you
experience.
want to say about what that experience was? Like, what was it specifically?
We were just doing battlegrounds. She was doing a 24-hour stream, and I was looking for something to do on stream, and I was like, "Hey, let's do BGs." So we went into BGs, and I think that our MMR like was raising as we were going along, and
Yes.
it was a
If you
nightmare.
were winning, yeah.
Oh yeah, we got schooled at the end. Like it looked like we didn't have gear equipped. It looked like our bars only had one skill on them. Like it's so bad.
There is an issue with PvP in the Elder Scrolls Online. That is very true.
I agree wholeheartedly with that statement.
MMR
there needs to be a big fix.
I mean, the thing is, and this is an entire podcast. I've got to have another one on that. MMR, as you go up, is meant to get more difficult. You get lesser players at that skill level. But the true MMR, I think MMR is based on singular characters and classes rather than your account, right? So that's a problem. Again, your MMR should be account-wide because it's just, I mean, these are my own personal opinions, but being in the esports and MMOs and other games for so long, it's so important that, you know, you're still skillful. You know, even if you're playing a new class, you're going to know how to play that class. You would have researched all these things, and again, people might have different ideas and opinions about that, and that's absolutely fine. But I mean, I have many. I think that PvP in Elder Scrolls Online is absolutely epic and it's so fun. I love it. It's very good. I love the blocking. I love the resource management. You know, the mind games. You know, the animation cancels. All these different things you can do. But I think it's let down by MMR. I think it's let down by having to even farm gear in the first place. But I understand, you know, the philosophy of Elder Scrolls Online and everything else, and, you know, having to that journey to PvP where you go into an arena and you fight. I understand that story of your character. But in terms of people being able to be competitive and on equal like ground, I think it's important that, you know, everyone can have the same stats and same access to gear and stuff. So I think there's a lot they can do, and I think they are very much aware of this fact as like an end game kind of PvP, especially it's more for Battlegrounds than Cyrodiil. Yeah, CP doesn't matter in Battlegrounds, no. So that's one thing at least. I mean, can you imagine if there was CP in Battlegrounds? Oh god. That scared
That would be
me.
horrible.
I didn't know that. For a long time.
That discrepancy with gear though is part of why I love low BGs. Like if I get too tilted and Sunbark has just made me feel like I'm the worst at the game, I just get on my low B. Like let's just go have some fun. I'm whipping people left and right, wearing like level 12 gear. It doesn't matter. We're here for fun. Let's go. Exactly,
and I actually agree with you. Because I think that's where I've had the most fun as well. I mean, I still like do pretty well on my DK now, like level 50. But I was still, you know, I was kind of screwed because I didn't have skill points. I could just chuck into passives. And I was like, I just want to be able to passively get my flipping stand back, man. I mean, you know, this is why I'm dying. I can't dodge. And it's like, okay, I've got the gear now as well, but now I've not got the damage. And it's just like, it's kind of annoying that I have to go and do these different things, because if you essentially just want a PvP, you can't, because you have to do these different things. But, you know, Elder Scrolls, I guess, you know, we could argue that Elder Scrolls is, you know, more about the experience and everything else. There's all these different arguments, but there's different players in MMOs, that's for sure. I think I just wanted to mention that on the podcast rather than just specifically have many opinions about it, because it's something I feel quite strongly about. But if anyone has any other thoughts, like, feel free to go for it if you want. If anyone wants to add anything.
I'm PvP'd out.
Including talking about it. Excellent. T, is there anything you want to say?
I love PvP. I think it's really fun. A lot of people are afraid to go into PvP. I haven't been able to lately because my computer hasn't been able to handle it. But I've been trying to introduce PvP to people on my stream. Like, they kind of, like, I don't really rage in ESO at all. And people are like, why? And I'm like, well, because I used to play support in League of Legends, and I used to get verbally abused.
You used to play League.
It's like nothing in ESO. Like, to me, is as bad as getting stuck in the bot lane with a bad AD
I
carry.
didn't know you played
blaming
League.
everything on you.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Cool,
Yeah, I used to play League before ESO.
Wait,
and
what?
I didn't have the I didn't really have the time to
amazing.
you know, keep up with the meta really. Like, it's just too much of a time commitment. But so when I'm in Cyrodiil, it's like super chill. I just run around like chickens with heads cut off. I like trolling people with sneaking around and booping them with my flame ability, and they just get so angry. You just see them like buffing up and they're running around all over the place, like spin a win. And I'm like over here in the corner, and I wait for them to settle down, and I boop them again, and they're like, ah, and it's amazing. I love it.
You really are getting into this right now. That's great.
So people are like, so people see that on stream, and they see kind of like the not taking it super serial approach, and they are kind of compelled to come try at least. And I try and like tell people, you're gonna die. It's okay. Everybody dies in Cyrodiil. It's all right. We will persevere.
You'll get through it in the end.
Just res again.
Res again, then that's it. Yeah, okay. Yep. I like it. There actually a very good point that came up from Stands in the Fire in the chat, and he was saying about, you know, to PvE, there are some skills, some support skills and whatnot that are from PvP, right? That you have to play PvP for.
Yep.
How do you guys
feel
about that?
You guys may have to come to us for gear, but we have to go to you for Warhorn.
Yeah, for Warhorn, that's right.
It used to be so much worse, though. Like,
it was a
took
nightmare.
Forever.
Wait, why was that? Why was that?
It took even longer to get from level 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 and so on and so forth. They've reduced the amount of AP that you have to earn to get those abilities like Vigor and Caltrops and Warhorn.
Oh, Caltrops, yeah.
Was a nightmare back in the day. You would spend weeks.
Right.
Yeah, and now we have BGs to help farm it too. So it's not like you're stuck in Cyrodiil with the losing alliance that can't get out of their home gate and trying to farm up your skills. Like, you just go to BGs, get AP even if you lose. It's fine.
Yeah, so that's a problem. I don't like that. It feels like there should be something maybe where even with like Imperial City, right? Because Imperial City is technically PvE or PvX, or is it PvX? I can't remember. Where it's like PvE/P, right? Because you've got players in there.
Yeah.
But you've got. So I feel like in a way, I mean, I don't know if this is the case anyway, that maybe, you know, there could be even a new guild or a new line where those abilities could just be that you farm PvE mobs or something in a PvP area, so that it kind of crosses over. I don't know. It could even be a new guild or something. I don't know. But like something where that's a little bit more possible, where people can't get triggered. Like, you know, that would be cool. I mean, but yeah, no, I mean, if it does work both ways for sure. I think I'm used to it. I mean, I'm like, again, I've said this before. I played. I'm a big Guild Wars 2 MMO player as well, and I played for many years. I still do. And I do variety of MMOs, and their system is very good. It's very much their own system, where you go in, you're max level, you can get whatever gear you want, you can get whatever stats you want. The build is yours. That's where you create. But it does segregate communities. The community is, if you PvP, you PvP pretty much mostly. I mean, you know, it's a very general statement about that game, but you know, there is almost to a degree, there is a barrier between the different communities because of that limitation, or, you know, not limitation, depending on what you look at it, what way you look at it. So I think that's maybe why they don't do that in Elder Scrolls Online. But okay, we're going to move on very quickly because I think we will be coming to an end in the next, maybe soon. We'll see how Attorcitty feels if he needs to go out. I'm not too sure yet. But I'll wait for him to type in a ninja way. But very quickly, talking about solo content as well, and if there's anything you guys want to specifically talk about, we talked about Maelstrom Arena, and okay, we've got about 15 minutes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go. We did talk about solo content a little bit, didn't we? Like VMA and different stuff like that. I'm gonna ask you guys actually, is there anything you specifically want to bring up in terms of the kind of end game? Is there anything you wanted to mention very momentarily that you feel is important to you or important to people, that is good or that could be improved upon? And anyone can jump in with that. I think
I'm gonna let them go first because mine's gonna be very long-winded.
Is it gonna be 13-minute long-winded? Go for it. Go, Attorcitty. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, do it.
So, looking back on past trials that we've had, so obviously we had the first 3 initial trials that came with the game. We had Sanctum Ophidia, Hellraw Citadel, and Etherean Archive. And then they came out with Vet Maul. That was a life changer for all in-game raiders. That trial was what people were looking for in a trial setting. Just the boss fights, the mechanics. You don't have too much mechanics or too much just stab and jab.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever they released that, obviously that was the biggest hype, and it still is. Vet Maul is still my favorite trial to this day. And then they came out with these other trials, and they started releasing mini trials. That's where I started to get disappointed in Elder Scrolls, was the mini trials.
Oh wait,
not that they're bad.
Like, when you're talking about Cloud Rest,
right? Cloud Rest and Asylum Sanctorium.
Right.
They were a good idea and concept, but whenever I hear of a raid or a trial, my mind goes to, hey, I'm going to be in there for 45 minutes to an hour after we are seasoned in this trial.
Yeah.
You can clear these in 15 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
15. You're slow, boy. Keep
oh,
up.
wow. Okay. Well, you need to be hitting that leaderboard again, apparently.
And that's my biggest problem with the in-game aspect of my viewpoint on it.
Is that vet, by the way, or is that normal just to state?
That's vet.
And that's vet. Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Is that because but you and Raja, would you agree that you're kind of at the top end of the scale?
Well, Raja actually raids still, so she's probably at the top end. Me, not so much.
Okay.
There's a lot above me. Like, our group's not doing the 4-minute, 20-second Asylum hard mode clears. Like, we're not there.
Wait, what? How many bosses are there?
Yeah, EU is insane. EU's crazy. I don't know what they're doing.
The robots
can't compete. Yeah, they're
4
clearly
minutes?
just all wrong.
Is that an actual real thing?
Yeah, they did it. I think it was 421, 420, something. What? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
How is that a thing? I would be able to get in there and put my pants on, maybe.
Spiders. All the spiders.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. Interesting. So that really trivializes it for them, I suppose.
The in-game, I want the in-game to be more challenging. I mean, how long did it take for people to clear Sunspire on PTS? A day? We need something harder, something more complicated, something that is going to take us a while to figure out. Because, not to beat a dead horse, but if you look at Destiny, whenever Destiny first came out, the raids took forever to figure out because you had puzzles, you had mechanics, you had all of these puzzle pieces that fit together, and you had to take the time to slow down and not just stab and jab. You had to do it, or one, your whole group would die, or two, you're not going to progress.
So there is mechanics there, it's just that the damage is too high. that you avoid
that.
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay.
that is a big problem. Is everybody's damage is just skyrocketed from where it was 3 years ago.
Hmm.
So are we talking power creep? Is that where the power creep conversation comes
Oh,
in?
CP.
Yeah,
CP is so.
Ah, it's this CP thing. It's not a gear thing? It's not a food
Gear
thing?
helps, but CP
It's CP.
that's great. Yeah, CP is so bad.
So they're working on that, aren't they? They're changing that some point soon. They're definitely changing it because they're not increasing it, are they? Okay, it's
Nope.
generally CP is the thing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm here to ask the questions. To ask the questions of the things. Interesting. Okay. So that's kind of upsetting for me to hear. And sorry, podcast people listening
As
as well.
somebody who's been there, though, like, and doing that in-game stuff, because I'm in a support role.
Right.
So for me, in like the standard trials, even in Maw to an extent, like there are sometimes in Maw, I'm just like, I'm not the Templar healer, so I'm just DPSing. And like Hoff is the really shining example of the, oh, you're not the Templar, have fun DPSing. I know you're a healer. So
Right.
for me, the mini trials, I'm suddenly important. Like if I die, we might wipe. That's insane. That's amazing. That's mind blowing. Yes, I love that aspect of them. And so it's interesting to see like the different like points of view on like mini trials versus the full length trials. And like even like in our guilds and stuff, you'll always have people on one side of the fence or the other, as long as it's not Sanctum. Sanctum's just the worst. But
Is Sanctum
pushing Sanctum for so long when it first came out, and we're just I'm done. Like
is Sanctum
all
the
these people
clockwork
that are
one?
like, yeah. No, Sanctum's the Craglorn one. It's the one with all the poison.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I've done that one.
There's poison everywhere all the
Terrible.
time. They
Maybe
will
just don't-
spread
just don't
it.
do
It
it.
will go through the whole
Just don't
trial.
do it.
Yeah, just skip it.
I've got to do it.
You don't need it. You don't need it.
I need an achievement, man. I need an achievement. Someone carry me. Okay.
I definitely understand the want for harder content.
Yeah.
But I give kind of mad props to them for making things more accessible too. Like
This
we
is
literally
the
took my
thing.
RP guild and did Vet Hellraw with a bunch of RPers with a couple of like in-game
That's
raiders. I think we had
so
4 or 5 in-game raiders. It was a mess. It was a disaster. They're never going to forgive me for it, but they cleared it too. And so like that is something that I can really, really respect. And I think that it's just sad that it puts the impetus on the community to make content harder for ourselves. So like a lot of us do like no CP trials. Like we just empty out all of our CP before we do the trial. Or we used to do pantsless raids. Gotta take your pants off. We would do ones where you're only allowed weapon, jewelry, and a monster helm. That's all you can have.
Okay. That's cool.
And stuff like that, just to make the game harder. But I definitely understand the wish for, I want mechanics that aren't skippable and not in an RP way.
So maybe
I don't
they
want
can...
the boss to go away and I can't touch him.
Yeah.
I want to have to do a puzzle or to figure out this specific stacking pattern and stuff like that. Like I want those hard
I
content
went to interrupt
mechanics.
and
I
like there
understand
must
why.
be multiple
Yeah.
different people to do the things. Yeah, because I missed that. Rift was a fantastic.
Yes.
That was one of my favorite actually.
Rich was so good.
It was. So unfortunately, that game is just in the shit now. But
Yeah.
I think they sold it for like 30k. It's depressing.
That's why
Oh,
here.
oh dear. Makes me very sad because like green scales, like was it green scale? I can't remember, but it was epic dungeons. If you ever get the opportunity and you ever enjoy raiding, like not to like go off the subject of saying ESO is something else, but like that was just they did some things right, but the game is literally like a piece of crap now, unfortunately. ESO is definitely not. I think there is definitely the conversation to be had about the fact that hardcore players, and obviously you know, and people like yourselves and guys who stream and everything else that create this content are probably in the higher echelons of experience and dedication maybe to that part of the game, which is very difficult to focus on content for as well. You know, it's like your audience. I mean, they'll obviously have like numbers, like how many people are actually doing this content, right? And then how many people are kind of at this point where they're on the cusp of like normal / vet trials. and then they'll probably focus that content around those people, the larger audience, rather than the higher end people who actually are the most vocal about the fact that they want harder content. So it's like, I feel for devs so much because I interact with so many devs in so many different MMOs that it's so difficult for them to focus. And it's very important. I want to try and put this out to as many people as possible, audibly, visually, everything, that they have to run a business as well. And the business is entertaining as many people as they possibly can. And they will get shit for that. They will always give shit for that. And it's just unfortunate, you know. I think, and I've been very vocal in very, very many games, and it's taken a while for me to get to a place where I can really understand that point of view and the business side, but then I can understand my own personal opinion, my own views that, you know, I want that thing and I want it now. I'm 37, for God's sake. I'm still a child. We all have our inner child, you know. We're going to have that inner child until we die. And it's just our wants and desires and needs. But I think I can always understand that side of it as well, which I'm happy for, and I think we all can to a degree. T, is there anything else you wanted to add? Oh no, wait a minute. I was asking you guys. Sorry, Attorcitty. I think you were still talking, and we went. I don't know if we went to other things. Were you still talking about it? I don't know. Or do you have to go or anything? Or
I have no idea if I was still talking, but yeah, I'm gonna have to wrap things up myself.
That's okay. I mean, I don't know if T and Raja, if you want to continue at all.
I'm good. I don't have anything to do.
Okay. Raja, do you want to continue as well? For a little
I'm
bit?
just here chilling.
Okay, that's all right. So trust it. If you need to go, that's actually okay. Or then because I've got a few things I wanted to kind of go through, but I did want to get to that trial kind of bit because I know that's where you are. Is there anything you wanted to add as well to anything you've said today, or you want to add anything to?
I mean, overall, as this being my first MMO, it has been the biggest life-changing experience whenever I connect myself to a video game that I've ever had. I've played many video games, and this game in particular is one that I can't get away from, just because the end game on it is just so satisfying. I mean, yeah, you could say that it's an addiction, because I have probably taken a break, and when I say a break, I mean extended break from this game, probably 7 times in my time of playing it.
Right.
But here I am. I'm back. I'm still here playing this game because the trials, the parsing, the I can literally do a whole stream and stand in front of a dummy for 8 hours, and I'll be okay. But
Fair play.
I mean, so as long as ZeniMax keeps doing their due diligence and they keep pressing, I'll keep playing.
There you go. Fair enough. Okay, do you want to tell us quickly where people can find you and just sell yourself for a moment before you go? Because I always ask people to do that at the end. So where can people find your stream? Where can they find your content or what you do? Or
well, you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Attorcity. That's like 4 T's, no more than 4 T's, even though Ninja614 will tell you there's 17 in there. You can find me on YouTube at Attorcity Gaming, and I do have a Discord. Just you can hop in there if you have any questions. Just go ahead and shout me out.
there you go. Awesome. Okay, well, it's good to have you, man. Thank you for talking and giving us your opinions on different things. I think I'll probably get you back on a trial-specific podcast as well in the future, because that's good to know all that information as well.
I'd be happy to be there. Thanks for having me.
No
Really
worries,
appreciate it.
man. We will see you next time. Have a good day.
You too. Later, guys.
See ya.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
Okay, so the camera's going to mess up for just a moment. So I am going to just get those sorted, stream. It's okay.
Broke.
And if you're listening to this audibly as well, I'm just doing some mechanical wizardry. So while that's going on,
It's like the Brady Bunch over here.
Yeah.
Except Raj has all of the squares.
You are now 4 people. Okay, so yeah, we were a bit later starting. Unfortunately, poor old Casual Ranger is not having a good time of it. It's not very well.
Not your feeling better, Ranger.
So yeah, we will get him on at some point in time, but Roger is an absolute diamond for coming on and saving the day. So I really appreciate that. While I'm sorting this out, actually, you're both into housing, right? Or did Roger say you? Housing in the wow, that was a serious comment just there. Housing is important. And Roger, you're into housing as well to a degree, am I right?
Yes, housing's amazing.
Okay,
it's so
well
hard.
then. There we go.
It's your endgame conversation now that the casual trial goers have
there
gone.
you go. That's right. That's
we
right.
can talk about the important stuff like fashions for a second, and how nice your house looks.
So wait a minute. I mean, it sounds like we can keep going for a bit of time now. So if you are listening audibly, Attorcitty has left, but we're back. We've got T and we've got Raja as well. And we're going to continue a bit of the endgame conversation. We're just going to hang out a little bit longer and do things. So in terms of your endgame experience, so why do you guys? I mean, I'll start with T first. Why do you enjoy housing so much? Why is your kind of part of your endgame that you enjoy? What is it? Just I mean, I don't even need to ask. You just tell me.
Yeah. So,
it's easier.
So, like Attorcitty, ESO was my first MMO, and so I come from like the Elder Scrolls fandom sort of side of ESO. Because there's, you have the MMO people and you have the Elder Scrolls peeps, and so I'm one of them. I love some of the mechanics that will make me kind of forget that I'm playing an MMO sometimes, like stealing, things like that. I love.
Did you say stealing?
I love. Yes. I beat someone to death with a broom on one of my streams because they caught me stealing, and I didn't have my sneaking ability on my part.
You're talking about in the
so
game.
They wouldn't stop hitting me, and then
you're actually
just
talking
had
about
the
the game.
broom on for like a joke, and then so I just had to like smack him to death. I was like, oh my god, nobody saw that.
T, can you just confirm that this
is bad.
T, this is in the game, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I got lost in real life there. I was like, okay,
No,
then. So, I mean, you're releasing some information.
I have in fact not beaten somebody to death with a broom in real life. So
just to confirm that.
Good to know. Oh my god. This is what happens when Attorcitty leaves, it just all falls apart.
Excellent.
So I feel like housing, we've been asking for housing since the first ESO Live, I'm pretty sure.
Wait, so when did housing come in then? Was it not something that was originally in the game?
It came in with Homestead.
No, it's pretty new.
It's
Homestead
pretty new.
Was before Morrowind. So
wow.
Yeah. It's pretty new in the sphere of like the entire game, and it's something that we've been begging for forever. They in 2014 they're like, well, housing is something we want to explore. It was like kind of vague, and we're like, oh my god, they're not even working on it, and it seemed like it was just not gonna happen, and then one day they just dropped it on us. We're like, oh, thank goodness. Because there were so many things that they kind of mentioned, like spellcrafting, for example.
Yeah. That
just evaporated. I found like a really old presentation at the 2014 QuakeCon. They had an entire like presentation of how the quest for spellcrafting was gonna work and how you collected all this stuff. Just gone. Never talked about after that again. Wow. housing was something we're like, oh god, please, I hope that they didn't just say that, you know, kind of off the cuff sort of thing. And so when they did drop it, it was amazing because I was expecting, I don't know, like, you have a thing and you set it in a square and that's how you do it. But like ESO just makes it so you could do so much with housing. I absolutely love it. It's so creative and fun.
So Roger, so you got straight into it as well, kind of at the same time? Or?
Yeah, I started. So I played ESO since beta, and then I took a break and I went to Rift for a little bit. And that's where I discovered housing in a video game. I was like, oh,
that's pretty good there. Yeah.
This is a thing.
Yeah. And
so when I came back to ESO, there's houses now. Oh yay! There goes all my gold. Everybody's like, why isn't your gear golded? And I was like, well, the furnishing vendor had burnt corpses, so.
Burnt corpses. They just thought they looked good draped over.
Now on sale.
Yeah, now on sale. Burnt corpses. 2 for 1. It's okay.
They actually are right now.
Yeah, that's
want to buy.
That's an actual thing.
It's for the next until midnight. You have a chance to go buy your own burn corpse. I saw some people like lining them up so they look like they were dancing on Twitter. Pretty great.
You think we would joke about housing?
You were joking about
Come on. Housing's not a joking matter.
Amazing. Unfortunately, when you listen to this elsewhere, it won't be on. It won't be on sale, guys. So you missed out on your 2 burnt corpses or your burnt corpses or whatever sale. Jesus Christ. You know, I just moved into this apartment building. I bet they think I'm a complete freak. The walls are quite thin.
Please. It's been called.
By the way, guys, you can buy bad causes. But yeah, okay. And so, I mean, I've watched T doing a bit of housing. I think Ninja Monkey's the guy I've watched the most doing the housing. I think he was doing something with the newer, is it an egg from one of the DLCs, the newer DLCs, the yellow bauble thing? I can't remember what it's called.
I know what you're talking about. The big lights. They're from Dempster Meltire.
Yeah, yeah. And he had like I think 20 or so like on top of each other.
Amazing.
But like he had them different colors or something, and he just made a new color. It was just like what the? And this is just tiny little ball that he just spent so much time on. And I was just like, blood, you can be so creative with this stuff. It's kind of ridiculous. Probably more creative than you can even be with wardrobe, I guess, as well. Which is, I spend a bit of time doing in streams, I'm not going to lie. My fashion wars in Elder Scrolls Online is much better than it is.
The Dice Station. All role players hail the Dice Station.
I need to work on that a little bit more.
The one in Rawca's the best because it's outside, so you have nice lighting.
Ah, okay.
Yes, BP usually hangs out at the Evanhart one.
Yep.
Right
also a good one.
The shrine.
Roger's face. He's so serious like that. It's a very good one.
This is very
No, there are some that are like in basements with like zero lighting. There's stuff in the way of your character. It's the worst. No.
It's true. I'm in Vattenfall, so I'm just like, in a room. I'm just in the room. I'm just not even thinking about this. Okay, when we finish this, because I'm streaming Elder Scrolls after, I'm just gonna go there and find out. Apparently, it just completely changed my hometown. It just ruined my life.
It will.
I'm gonna have to move again.
Because when you go there and you dye your outfit and then you go to a different zone, you're like, what on earth? This doesn't even look like what I.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
put on my outfit, and then you immediately go back and change because.
I almost need to go into dungeons and have dye stations in dungeons just for that reason. That end game dying. Wow.
Sunspire has a dye station inside. So if you ever thought raids were starting on time, no.
Oh wow. Okay, I did not know that. That's pretty cool.
That's really important.
It's the first thing we found. Outfit station.
That's actually amazing. Huh. Never knew that. Okay. Is there anything else you want to say about housing? Like, so is it that, I mean, I think the one thing last week we spoke about, 2 weeks ago, was talking about guilds, and we were talking about how there's not really a guild house. I think that's a big issue for a lot of people. Because I've just got my house and everyone just invades it. And that's the guild hall. I'm not moaning about that, by the way, people. I'm just saying, I have to purchase it, and you have to kind of, right click on my name and find me in guild chat. There's no button that just says go to guild hall. Is that really a big issue? Is it the biggest thing in the world? Is it like, I need that? Oh, it's just like,
I am
It can be
conflicted on this.
Yeah, like I hate having to search my trade guild to get to the like crafting hub, but it's like whatever. It's a crafting hub with all the stations and stuff. I can search it, but at the same time, like bringing people into the RP guild. I mean, like, okay, so my main house is our guild hub, but you can also go to this house. That's her house. That's open. These two houses are our taverns, and it's just like, oh.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna stand on my soapbox.
Yes.
Because this is
Oh,
kind
here
of
we go.
something that I am very conflicted on, because
okay.
I think it's really good for like trading guilds, like you mentioned. They usually have big crafting stations, for example, where you can do all your master writs and things like that. It'd be really nice for that to be easier for people to find. However, like guild halls, I feel implies like there'd be more people allowed in. And from a roleplay perspective, I actually really don't like housing RP, because then people can't find you. New people have no idea there's roleplay in the game, because they don't, like, a lot of the role players have retreated to housing now. Exactly what Raja said, where you just have different houses. And ESO has so many amazing places that are like perfect stages for events and stuff, and they go completely unused, and it breaks my heart. Like, I don't know how many people use Somerset. I don't think anybody did. Like, maybe a little while, but I'm not sure if anyone's still there anymore. So
So you're saying that people don't they don't feel comfortable enough doing it out in the open?
Yeah, right now roleplay is kind of a little bit hindered in housing because of the 25% limit. So bigger guilds can't reliably use. Yes.
You can only have 25 people in them?
Use. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I'm telling you. The RP community is huge.
And that's the notable houses too.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
the
you have to have
big
the most expensive houses.
Oh.
So if you have a smaller house, it can only fit like 6 people.
Right.
Like, suddenly you're like, sorry, friend, you're not allowed to come in our house because we already have other people here. And it's like I said, I'd prefer more roleplay happen in the world. I run an event that I have in a zone in Vivek.
Right.
Because there's usually, well, not usually, but very often we've gotten past 25 people. So I don't want to turn people away from an event. Be like, sorry, you didn't show up on time. You're not allowed to come here.
Oh man.
When it's in a zone, people can come in and out as they please. They don't have to be whispering you to try, if you're not on their friends list, which is another conversation that I'd like to talk about. The friends list limit is ridiculous. Like, all that is very...
Remove people.
Yeah, there's so many. My friends list has been full since like 2015. There's every once in a while I have to do like a culling of
People
and pick my friends, which feels really bad.
Okay, there seems like there's a certain limit on different things like guild members, guild slots, friend lists, housing slots. So it's kind of interesting that there is then this view that in a massively multiplayer online game, you're actually kind of limited to the amount of people you can know. Well, not know,
Very
because
much
you
so.
know how many
Well,
people you can know,
yeah,
but like
but
you,
wait,
that you
it's
can be alerted
networking, I
to.
think, is the best way.
Yeah, networking, because a friends list isn't really just a friends list. You know, that's that guy who sells you the chair at that time of year. I don't know, whatever, or the burnt corpse, or whatever you want to
The
do.
chair
call it.
guy.
Yeah, the chair guy. Like, he might not be your friend, you might not like him, but you still want to know him because he's the chair guy. Okay, or the burnt corpse guy, and it's important to know him. So make sure you find out who he is, because I need to find him. Is there a chair guy in Elder Scrolls? I don't know if anyone knows the chair guy in the chat, but you know, it's important. Okay, cool. We're gonna start to wrap it up quite soon. But yeah, you can make chairs. You can be the chair guy. It's important to, I think, you know, especially in an MMORPG, and I know people, chair girl then, all right. I know this, you're my mod. This is just generally. We're having discussion at the moment in the chat, if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes and elsewhere, about who will be the chairperson. I should just say person. Okay, I understand. Chair people. But yeah, I think it is an important discussion, and maybe, you know, that's still, the game came out, you know, years ago now, and Guild Wars 2, you can have 5 guilds, and there are other games where you can't have more than 1 guild, you know, where you're really limited. So I think ESO, Guild Wars 2, and some other games that came out more recently have allowed you to stretch that out, but I think it can be just let it open, let it go, as they say. I'm not going to start singing.
As they say.
Someone said that. But yeah, I would agree. I think that's something that could probably be worked on. Maybe with Guild Finder, you know, maybe they'll up limits. Is that likely?
No.
As Raja shakes her head. Okay, fair enough. Is there anything else you guys wanted to mention on housing very quickly? So.
It's the best.
It's the best.
Housing's so good.
They really like it. Okay, cool. Awesome. And it's something that you can focus on.
More smaller houses.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
More
More
smaller
smaller.
houses. The item limit is horrible at the big houses, but the medium and the small houses are amazing. Give us.
Okay, so that you do have something more to say about housing. You want more
that'd
housing.
be another podcast.
I
on
think
it.
so.
You just
Yeah,
ran about
I think
that.
we're gonna do that. So I think I've found 2 people for that one, at the very least. As long as you guys want to come back, of course, we'll have to think about that in the future. And okay, so I wanted to very quickly talk about something, events actually, as part of the continuing end game, which happen all the time, where you can get new skins and everything else. Just what do you guys think about events that constantly kind of happen? Do you enjoy them? Do you think they're good for the kind of end game of, or not, or maybe just the re-logging in of people to encourage them to come back, so that maybe they look at the end game or anything else? I have some opinions about events. I mean, there's the Indrik event, obviously, that's going on, and then you've got side by side with that, you've got, you know, at the moment, the anniversary of Elder Scrolls Online, and you can get the writs, and you know, there's 5 weeks of like logging in every day and getting the motifs, and then, you know, there's PvP, and then there's endless things that keep coming. And it's like, is it good? Do you guys enjoy this? Do you think it's good for people to do? Do you think it's just nice to have that option? Do you hate them? I mean, you know, what do you can say. You don't have to say hate. I mean, that's quite a strong word. But do you guys like them? What do you think could be different? Do you think they're fine? Either of you. Go for it.
I like the events because they get people to log in.
Yeah.
Which I think is good. And the daily rewards, whatever you think of them, there will be people that will log in just for the daily rewards, and that is just good for the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really bummed right now on this week though, because the dungeon finder is still not working. So like, I'm lucky that I can just like go to my friends list or go to the chat and be like, I need a body, somebody come in, and so we can just pour it in. But with the dungeon finder not working, it's just like
Is it really not working?
It's been
I've-
broken
Never
since before the day
I
before
mean,
the event.
I know it
Yeah.
was. I know it wasn't working great, but I think I noticed that my healer queue was pretty bad the other day. But I didn't
it's
know
it's
it was
really
broken.
hit and miss. The main thing is,
Okay.
especially if you already have
Got
4
lucky.
people, you got to queue up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody ready checks, and you get put at the front of the queue, and that just loops forever.
How odd. That must be more recent then, because we did one. We were fine the other day. It might just be like my luck. I might just had streamer luck at the time. I don't know. But damn, okay. It worked for lower, maybe. Okay. Maybe it's for groups. Weird.
Milk Daddy brings up a really, really good point about this event, though. And it's a point that I'm very upset about. And I'm going to be a good person. And I'm going to be nice. And I'm not going to rant.
Okay. I mean, I do actually want to do a podcast about events because I do have some gripes about the events. I actually think the same thing as you, Roger. Pretty similarly. I think I actually really like the fact, and I actually champion Zos for this, Zenimax for this. The fact that you have events and you have things that you make people log into the game, I think it's absolutely. I think that's great. I think it's good. You know, you can log in, you can have the chance to get a potential skin that you might craft, even if it's crap and then you don't like it. You've still got it. You know, it's a collector's thing, and that's what MMO players are. Essentially, they're collecting achievements, they're collecting gear, they're collecting kills, they're collecting souls. I don't know, PvP, you know, wins, whatever. They're essentially collecting something, and I think that's good, and it does make people log in, and people logging into the game, it's absolutely fantastic. I think sometimes the consistency of events is a little bit of an issue. I think it can be like bang, next event, a little bit too much, which makes you feel as if you have to, and especially if you're like Inklings or someone, but he probably enjoys this. You have like 80 people to log in on, and then you can start playing the game. You know, he's still got to do his writs, but that's obviously the higher end of the scale. But you know, I might spend a lot of time actually on these events, like because I want that thing, and it's not like there's not a limit per account, and I don't know the answer to that. You know, I think it's just my own personal thing, and maybe I'm a small part of that. You know, in opinion wise, where I'd rather not be logging in for the game and doing 15 to 16 undaunted quests per stream. But you know, I mean, that's up to me. It's my own judgment. It's not, they're not forcing me. But I feel like I have to, because otherwise I'm missing out, and that's the thing I think I have an issue with. But yeah, so just to note what Raja said, and someone said it was Milky Daddy who said ESO giving 72 tickets over the course of the event, which is the current one, right? Was sneaky. If you didn't have any tickets left over from last season, you wouldn't be able to get a new Indrik and the berries, so you'd have to pay for them. So in EOS Elder Scrolls Online, you can, over the last almost, it's not been a year, but it's been what, 7 months, maybe 8 months, something like that. We've been able to collectively collect berries and feathers to get a mount combination. And you know, one of these has been available every event. Where you can save up tickets, buy one of these things, and in the end you get a mount. So at the moment there's another mount available, and this mount is only available during this 5-week event, right? Or is that false?
Well, the berries are available.
Only the berries.
For this event.
So technically you only need to save 40.
Yeah. You could prioritize getting the berries during this event and also buy the feathers afterwards. Like if you don't want the black Indrik, for example, you could, while those events are going on and those berries are out, you can start collecting feathers. That's what I did with the spring one. So I didn't want that one.
So what I've done is I've actually started collecting the berries, and I've got 2, and I've got enough to get another 2. So then technically I guess the base Indrik feathers are always going to be available, or is that incorrect?
Yeah, that's correct. The feathers stay.
So you can do it during this event. I mean, at the very least, thankfully, you can log in and just get the Jubilee cake, right? You just right click it, get the experience boost, and then you've got the 2 tickets. So it's easy to do. You just have to log in every day, which I guess, you know, isn't too bad. As long as you have access to a PC, make sure someone else does, or tell someone your password so they can do it for you.
Don't
tell someone your password.
Don't do that.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Only if they're married to you.
No.
Is that okay?
ZeniMax. No, ZeniMax, don't listen.
Okay, don't. I didn't tell anyone to do that. It was just a joke. I'm smiling. Please watch the video
Jeb
version.
logs in and can't. It's like, you are banned for account share.
Someone logged in on my account on my PC for me, and it was myself and
Did you
my
hear
hand.
something?
Okay, sorry. No, nothing. It's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna shut up. All right, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm sorry. Please don't hurt me. I'm gonna go now. The show's over. I haven't actually ever done that because I don't need to, because I play the game every day.
Of course you didn't.
No. And also, we're here, and it's also Sunday. Sunday's a great day of the week, isn't it? Lovely.
Indeed.
Maybe that's where I'll end the official podcast online. Anyway. But the events are fun. I do enjoy doing the bits and bobs, you know, and getting the different skins and stuff, and that's cool. But I don't know if it's, for me, the events, I think it's just an added thing. I don't really think it's like an end game thing, but I think it helps you log back in, like Raja said. Do you have any feelings about this at all, T? We kind of probably wrap up after this anyway, but
yeah, so I remember a while back they mentioned that they have their biggest influx of players during the DLC drop. So they have a lot of players who come in for new content. Once they finish it, they kind of do a cooldown where they're not in game for a while. I remember that very clearly, and I remember being kind of, I don't take breaks from the game. I'm hopelessly addicted. But I thought it was interesting that was something that they found, and I believe that the events are a way around that for them, to get people to log in between DLC.
okay.
So, like with this event, all you have to do is eat cake to get your tickets. All you have to do is log in, eat a cake, and that's it. Now, they do have the extra stuff, and I actually do. I kind of enjoy having the option of doing that. So, like, I've been doing it on my stream, like, the first day and kind of the last day, except for this week. We've been doing a lot of trials. And just kind of trying to show people that you don't have to constantly be doing the event stuff. So I enjoy it when I want to do it, and when I don't want to do it, but that's one of the reasons I'm behind on like my Indrik feathers and things like that. I don't really force myself to do event things.
Yes,
I just play the game like I usually do. Yeah,
I think I got to that point as well, in all honesty. Okay, cool. So I think, unless you guys want to talk about or mention anything very, very quickly, because I think we've gone on for long enough, we will probably wrap it up. I mean, all I want to say really is that I think I came to this conclusion. I mean, I even wrote in the document that I think essentially your end game for anyone, and I do realize that when this podcast, just to note, that this podcast is scheduled on this weekend. This was an idea from an awesome mod of mine to talk about the end game, but it was my idea to definitely make sure it was this weekend because of the Avengers Endgame. So this is, if you're listening to this in the future, that was a thing. But just a note. But your end game eventually, I mean, you know, isn't essentially, it doesn't have to be called Endgame. It's just a continuation of the things, and to enjoy what you're doing, and to have fun in the way you are the way you have fun, whether or not it's competitive, whether or not it's community, whether or not it's achievement hunting, trialing, PvP, slaying people, or putting a burnt corpse on your mantelpiece. Whatever you enjoy, and I mean in the game, you know, whatever you enjoy, I think that's basically what your end game in inverted commas should probably be. And you know, think about your end game and your experience, and you know how you can maybe further that, and hopefully, you know, that's something that ZeniMax is doing, and if they're not doing, then maybe, you know, it's something we can all input in, and that's what the podcast is about as well, to talk about. So I think it was very awesome. You guys, thank you so much for coming as well. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to just add or to say at the end, just to, if you have anything else you wanted to say or add at all, just generally.
I kind of already said in chat, but ESO is about the journey, not the destination. Like, there's been a lot of new players coming through. They're like, how do you get to CP 300 really fast? And it's like, well, you don't have to. Just enjoy the game. Learn the game. There's so much to do. Just don't worry about the end game. That's what I would say. Just enjoy.
That's right.
You'll get there. It's not going anywhere.
That's how you find all the things to do. Like, just not even thinking about that. That's the way I've been doing it. Raja, is there anything else you want to add or say? You don't have to.
I think T summed it up pretty well. A lot of the time, us like trial raiders get like a bad name that we're like elitist or whatever. But like the thing is, like, that's just our end game. That's what we enjoy doing. And for us, like, the journey is a huge part of it. Like, yeah, sure, we post our scores and stuff, but like in our Discords and in our chat, we're talking about, you know, what it took to get there, who slept through raids, who threw on what days, you know, oh my gosh, we have our DPS wearing Alkosh, what are we doing with our lives and stuff like that. And at the same time, like, there are times where we sit there and like we'll watch people PvPing and just tearing things up, and we're like, that is so cool. Or we go into people's houses and we're like, how did they even do this? Like, what is their item limit? 3,000? Like, no way. This is crazy, right? There's so much stuff about the game that you can just like do, and you can be proud of, and you can enjoy, and like just do that. This game is so good. Don't let what other people do for fun like be your thing.
Fun. Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. I like it. Good combination. Okay, guys, that's going to be it. That's the Elder Scrolls Online, the new Companions podcast. I failed on so many levels on the video side. The new Companions podcast for another 2 weeks. We have, this cast is bi-weekly, so we have every 2 weeks. There is a new Companions podcast online. So if you search it anywhere, you will be able to find it. This has been about the end game, and you know, general message: the end game, it doesn't even have to be called the end game. Just enjoy the damn game and do the things. Is what I would like to say.
Do the things.
Do the things. Ride the mount, craft the stuff, kill the stuff, and the people, and the burning bodies, and that's gonna be it. Otherwise, I'm gonna have an upset. I need to go and buy this thing. I'm gonna go and do it. I'm doing it right now. After, I mean, you guys can, you know, stay and find out if I do that. But otherwise, where can we find you, T? What do you do? Tell us what channel you're on. Where are you? How can we follow
right here on Twitch. T_the_Khajiit, as my bot likes to call me. This is mostly where I am. I also am on Twitter with the same handle. I live on Twitter. Awesome. Not addicted.
And Raja as well. Where can we find you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitch. I'm tall_Raja, and I technically have a Twitter. I use it sometimes.
She'll use it more. She promises. But yeah, awesome. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys coming out today. Also, thank you again to Attorcitty, who, if you're watching the video version, is below me, and who joined us today as well. He's very good at telling the time as well, just to note everyone. Just a little additional thing there, if in case he's listening, a cheeky additional comment. Otherwise, guys, thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you tune in the future. We have a ton of podcasts that came before this with various guests that we change in and out every 2 weeks. Thank you very much for watching. And we will see you soon. I appreciate you coming out. Take it easy. Bye-bye for now. And if you're still here, we're going to actually be doing the stream. So our subathon will continue. But Raja, thank you very much. I'm actually wrong way. Should be that way. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You guys are epic. Thank you for watching. Well, I'm going to be back very, very shortly, guys, with the rest of the Border-thon. If you want to join and hang out, guys, we're doing loads of giveaways on sub goals and all the things, because the Boulder subathon on Twitch will continue very, very shortly. But I'm just going to say goodbye to these guys, and I'll be back in a moment. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on The New Companions. Bye-bye, guys. You can say bye if you want.
Slowly getting ASMR here.
Come here if you want.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be creepy. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Okay.